Alright, homesteaders. So today we're going to be talking about prepping. Being a prepper and preparing for things in the future. One of the major problems in the prepping movement, along with my previous video about the homesteading movement, is that everybody is so fearful of everything. They make mistakes, they waste money, and they prepare for things that they basically can't prepare for. So in this video, I want to knock out some myths and some problems and mistakes and give it to you real, just like the homesteading video. So with prepping, if you're going to prep, which I'm a prepper, I made a bunch of mistakes because I followed different YouTube videos and things like that. And people did not tell me the right way to prepare, the right way to prep, and how to accumulate things for the future. So the first problem is when you're a prepper, you go onto YouTube, you look for all these videos. And a lot of these videos tell you, oh, go get canned goods because they're super cheap. Go get the noodle packs that all you got to do is add water. It has all the seasoning. They only last a year or two. And that's the first major problem in the prepping movement. Is we go out, we spend all of our hard-earned money, the little bit that we had that we saved to put into prepping, and we waste it. I went ahead, I bought all these canned goods and all these different dry packets and things like that. Well, I started prepping back in 2011. It is now 2017, 6 years later. If you know anything about canned goods, the expiration dates are normally like a year and a half. But that doesn't mean the food's bad. The food's still good for multiple years thereafter. So food can last in canned goods for, 5-6 years. The problem is I'm at the end of the life cycle of canned goods where it's going to start degrading, start going bad, start going rancid, things like that. So if you're going to start prepping, don't go out and buy a whole bunch of canned goods because they're cheap. Yes, you can get canned goods for 68 cents or $1 a can, and you can stock up a bunch of food. Get a little bit, enough to last you maybe 6 months. No more than 6 months. Then, on top of that, another mistake I've made is I got a bunch of canned goods that I don't eat. So if you're going to spend your money on buying things, make sure you buy things that you're going to eat, that you're going to be able to cycle through. If you buy 5 cans of corn, make sure every couple months you're cycling out those 5 cans of corn, you're eating those 5 cans of corn, and you're replacing the 5 cans of corn. But for long-term storage, I highly recommend. I didn't do it because I didn't have the money in the beginning. And as all preppers know, financially we're constrained right off the bat, so we don't go for the most expensive thing because we're worried about getting something right now. The problem with that is you buy cheap in the beginning and you lose all that money. So you end up spending more money than you would if you would have went the more expensive route. And the route I'm talking about is I would go freeze-dried or dehydrated or some type of long-term food storage that's good for, 15, 20, 25 years. And then once again, once you buy those type of things, you want to go ahead and you want to cycle that food out. Every 5-10 years, cycle that food out and get your next batch. Just remember, if you're not cycling out your food's going to go bad, and then you just wasted that money on nothing. With the freeze-dried, the dehydrated, long-term food storage, you're able to not have to cycle it as quickly as canned goods or dry goods or things like that. Another thing with the prepping movement that's a major flaw is everybody gets you scared about nuclear war, about a comet hitting the planet, alien invasions, all this crazy things. Yes, it could happen. I'm not a doomsday prepper, so I don't prepare for stuff like that. But that's the thing. Don't look at all of those type of things. When you become a prepper, it shouldn't be out of fear. It should be out of self-sustainability. Not sure even what words to use for that. But self-preservation is the word I was looking for. So if you lose a job, which how many people have lost a job? A lot of people. How many people have had family members that lost a job? Now, yes, you could find a new job right away, or it might take you 6 months to a year. So to get into the prepping movement, you shouldn't be doing it because you're afraid a comet's going to hit the planet or nuclear war or something like that. Everybody should start out prepping as self-preservation. You should go ahead and get about a year's worth of food, a year's worth of toilet paper, a year's worth of shampoo and soap and toothpaste and toothbrushes and your daily, everyday thing, deodorant, cologne, perfume, whatever you use on a daily basis, buy a year's supply. Now, you may be thinking, why would I need a year's supply of all that? Well, because if you lose your job and you don't have money coming in, you might be able to sell some stuff and cover your mortgage and utilities and things like that. Because for you to pay all your bills a year in advance, that's not going to happen. But the thing is, if you do end up losing your house and you're in your car or you become homeless in a hobo tent or what have you, you at least have that year's worth of daily stuff, food, shampoos, toilet papers, all that you're going to be able to live without struggling. So you may lose your house, you may lose your car, you may lose everything, but if you have all those supplies, you can take those supplies with you. And if you had those supplies and you haven't lost your house and you're able to sell things and do side jobs just to cover your main bills, you don't have to worry about a $300 a month food bill. You don't have to worry about, $50 a month in toilet paper and paper towels and deodorants and colognes and perfumes. Because think about it, if you lose your job and you don't have the money to go get the essentials of shampoo and soaps and colognes, deodorants and all that, do you really think somebody's going to hire you when you go to a job interview and you smell like crap? No. If your hair's all matted, if you stink, if your teeth don't look good, the chances of you getting hired are going down. Yes, you may still get hired because there's people out there that hire you based on who you are. But the thing is, why not have everything set up for a year and be able to do what you need to do? So it's things like that you guys need to be thinking about. The next thing is the major doomsday things. The comets hitting the planet, alien invasions, nuclear war. You can't do anything about that. Yeah, you could go and buy an underground bunker and do all these crazy things. And yes, that's self-preservation. But the thing is, what's the odds of that? The odds of a comet hitting the planet are astronomical. Nuclear war, there's a lot of countries with nuclear weapons, but the thing is, for somebody to press that button, and not just that, it's not going to be the whole planet's going to be covered in nuclear bombs. You're going to have one country send 3 or 4 over to one country, and that country send 1 or 2, and you're going to have that problem. Now think about it. If you're in a blast zone of a nuclear bomb, unless you have an underground bunker that's got 25 feet of dirt and reinforced concrete and rebar and everything like that, you're probably not going to survive. So what's the point of worrying about and wigging out about something you can't deal with? You losing a job, or a hurricane comes through, or your power gets knocked out, that's something you have somewhat control over. You can have a generator if your power gets knocked out. You can have extra water storage on your property in case of a fire. You can have a gun safe with different paperwork in it in case of a fire, a fireproof safe. There's things like that you can prepare for and be a prepper without going berserk on spending your money on everything. And then that takes me to my last case of we spend money and go crazy over the novelty of prepping. When we become preppers, we go out. I didn't do this because being ex-military, I've learned different things, and I have a more open mind than most people that are, trained in the mentality of watching the news and doing what everybody says. And that's one thing. Our government if you go back in history, used to require and ask every household to have at least one chicken per family member. That was way back, I think, in the 20s or 30s. They put pamphlets out trying to help the U.S. populace. Now they tell you, oh, I have 3 days worth of food, and you can count on us, FEMA, the Red Cross, and these type of organizations. You can't. Look at Hurricane Katrina. How many people suffered because Red Cross, FEMA, and everybody couldn't get to as many people? So with that, you know, you got to look at, everybody says go out, buy a magnesium and flint fire starter, and buy this fire starter and that fire starter. And that's the problem. We go out and we go to Walmart and we buy this $3 item and that $2 item and $6 item. And we buy multiples of everything. And that's just stupid. Yes, you have all these different ways of starting fires or all these different ways of purifying water. But why not go ahead and spend the right price? It may be a little more expensive to get one thing like Berkey water filters like I have. I spent, I think, $112 or $120 on 2 Berkey filters. They last for 6,000 gallons, 3,000 gallons per filter. I've been living here at my house since 2011. It's now 2017. That's 6 years, almost, come June. And those water filters are still going. Now, I could have went out and bought all these iodine capsules and all these things to purify water and have to continuously use and spend money to get new ones. But no, I went ahead, I spent a good chunk of money, I got good water filters, the best that are out there in all the alternative studies and independent studies on water filters. The black Berkey filter is the best in the world from all the studies that I've researched and things like that. For fire starters, I go ahead and I get these like fire log sticks. I made a video how to start a fire without kindling. It's in one of my previous videos. And I buy matches and lighters. So I have, you know, 20,000 matches and a bunch of lighters and things like that. So, you know, 20,000 matches that are in a dry container that's sealed, that won't get wet, and all these lighters that I have, you know, that's going to give me years upon years of making fires. I don't need to go get flint rods and strikers and all these different things to have multiple ways of making fires. So you got to start thinking. If you take $3 off of this item and $6 off this item and $20 off this fancy new backpack that you had to get, and then next year a new one comes out and you want to buy that backpack, you start saving money. And instead of having all this clutter in your house and all this stuff that you're preparing for every situation in the world, just prepare for everyday life and stretch it out for a year or 2 years. Another thing to consider with the prepping movement is everybody's in the mentality of stocking canned goods, stocking canned goods, stocking canned goods. Everybody thinks that if I have 5 or 10 years worth of canned goods, I'm going to survive forever. Now, you have 5 or 10 years worth of canned goods, okay? The world comes to an end or whatever, some catastrophe happens. You eat on your canned goods for 5 to 10 years. What happens after that 5 to 10 years? How do you plan to survive after that? That's another problem preppers and the prepper movement do not address. You not only need to have some type of stable food source that you don't have to do work for, like canned goods, freeze-dried food, long-term food storage, and things like that. But you also need to start thinking, can you grow food? And a lot of people don't even know how to grow from seed. With me, you've seen my vegetable videos upstairs in my bathroom, and that's just in my bathroom. This year, you guys are going to follow me in this journey and see how big my gardens will get. And over the next couple years, the gardens, the orchards, things I'm going to get done. But that's another thing you need to consider if you're getting into the prepping movement. You need to go ahead and learn how to grow from seed. Vegetables from seed, fruit from seed, everything from seed. Once you have that accomplished and you know how to grow food, you need to have a garden every year. whether it's year-round or just during the spring, summer, and fall. But you need to have a garden because that's a food source. And not only is that a food source, but that's a money saver. If you have vegetables in the garden, you're not buying vegetables at the grocery store, at Walmart, or what have you, and you're saving money. So right there, if you're saving, say, $25 a month, or just say $100 a month, let's make it simple. If you save $100 a month in vegetables and fruits because you're growing it on your property, that's $1,200 a year. $1,200 a year, what can you do with that? You can do a lot of prepping. You can buy a lot of freeze-dried food, dehydrated food. You can start putting $1,200 a month or $1,200 a year aside for a couple years, and in a couple years go out, buy a couple acres of land, start a homestead, get into the homesteading movement. But prepping and homesteader goes pretty much hand in hand. Because homesteading, you need to prepare for bad winters, you need to prepare to be able to feed your animals in inclement weather and things like that. And for the prepping, homesteading is one of the best way to prep. Because if you know how to grow from seed and you have a garden going, then you have the possibility of feeding a dozen chickens. And then that dozen chickens are giving you eggs, and they're giving you baby chickens, and they're giving you meat from butchering or culling your chickens. So there's things like that that you need to consider in prepping. It's not just about storing food because, okay, you can fill your whole house up with food and then your house is filled up and you have no room to do anything. Why clutter your home with all this food? Get a year or two supply, learn how to grow from seed, grow your own vegetables, feed your own animals, get your own animals, butcher your own animals, and in the long term, if you can grow a garden every year and you prepare by stocking up a bunch of seeds, because seeds are good for a long time if you store them properly, then you're able to grow for years and years and years. And that, a little bit of seeds take up a tiny bit of space compared to canned goods that will last you the same amount of years. So it's something to consider if you're getting into prepping, if you're in the prepping movement, or considering the prepping movement. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, send me a private message, or contact me through one of my other sources of contacts. So with that, I hope you guys have a great day, and this is the truth about prepping. Live happy, live free. That's the only way to be.